Hello and welcome to Stardew Valley in Minecraft, a new series where I build the world of Stardew Valley in Minecraft, one area at a time. For this series, I am adding a stretch goal. If I reach 10,000 subscribers, I'm committing to adding Ginger Island as part of this series. If you'd like to see that, please consider subscribing because it helps a lot. Last episode we made quite a bit of progress by adding the blacksmith and the museum. That is probably some of the biggest redstone constructions that I have done so far. However, this episode is gonna be much bigger. As you can see right now, we have this beautiful area here. This was originally planned to be the lake, the big lake that is in Stardew Valley in the mountains. However, as you can see, the planning has shifted north a little bit, as this river now curves over here. I cannot use this as the lake. We're gonna have to move this up quite a bit, and not just up in the sense of more in that direction. As you can see, we're also getting a bit more height. And of course, this mountain lake is in the mountains, so we're going to have to build a whole new lake above this one. But first, before we get to that, this whole area is where the community center will be, and we're gonna have to terraform quite a bit. And then on the right side here, I will be adding the Joja Mart. Well, I don't know about you, but I always go for the community center. I will always restore it, and I will never pay my membership subscription for Joja. No. I say no to Joja. How about you? Does anyone do the Joja route? I mean, aside from the achievement, of course, which I will still have to get at some point. Maybe never. But yeah, the community center and all of the redstone will be in today's build. And that will take quite a bit of time and resources. Now, I'm very excited to see this whole thing come together, and I'm doing things a little bit differently with the time-lapse this time. I am going to leave out some of the details for the cliffs, and then we will add them together later. But before we get to building, I will need to collect some resources. Oh my goodness, look at all these shulker boxes. This was a lot of materials, and especially a lot of redstone. Just for the redstone dust alone, I need over 2,000 pieces of redstone for all of the redstone that's gonna go under the community center. So yeah, we're in for a big treat here. And before we do some terraforming, how about some good old deforestation? Oh, I promise I will place a few trees back here later, but there is going to be some more terraforming to be done here, so we need the space. And as you can see, I cleared out quite a big area because we're going to be building a big addition. The biggest addition to the world so far. And I think I will start over on the right here. I will fill up the gap here and build a platform for the Joja Mart to go onto. And then we'll just keep continuing from the right all the way to the left in a big, long time lapse. So once again, sit back, relax, and enjoy. There we go, there it is. The community center is finally here. I also did a little bit of terraforming on the outer edge, and I added the small park and the playground for the kids on the side here. If you look at how I've done the cliffs before, then you see that there is a lot more detail and a lot more shape to each of them. However, over here I only have the bare minimum shape, and I'm going to be adding some more detail later in this episode, and I'm going to be explaining some of the steps that I take to do so. And then earlier in the time-lapse you saw the Joja Mart and of course the Bookseller. Now for the Bookseller, I don't really have any plans for it to also actually sell books, because most of the books in Stardew Valley are granting some small buffs that aren't really so easy to translate over into Minecraft. Now of course we started the time-lapse off with the Joja Mart, and you saw a few of the small details that I added around the Joja Mart, like the banners and the shopping carts and the truck. I am really happy with the very simple design that I've got over here. I spent some time designing the banners. Instead of the Joja Cola, we've got the golden apple and the glistering melon, which I think is pretty nice to have like a little bit of food on this. I love these little shopping carts that I made. It looks so fun. I'm very much enjoying making these little vehicles. And then of course here at the top, I tried to add a bit of shadow to the build with the darker concrete and terracotta. And then as we go inside here, there is gonna be a bunch of details that I still want to add here, because all of these need to be filled with foods. Now in Pierre's there is of course already a bunch of items, and I just need to go through here and add a bunch of food, and that's definitely something I will do. Of course here we have the Jojo Mart membership that we can purchase, where we can go the Jojo Mart route and spend a bunch of gold to do all of the upgrades instead of doing the community center route. Then here we have a few sale banners, and in the back there we have $7.50 as the price. I like this sort of the glass divider between you and the cache. The idea is also that this also counts as like maybe a display screen where it would show you how much you have to pay. And then here in the back we have the freezer and the fresh and cheap. We've got a bunch of vegetables here. Really enjoyed making this interior. And it's a very simple and clean look, but I really like it. It's just nice and simple. Next up, let's have a look at the community center, the biggest building in Pelican Town, and also the most important building in Pelican Town. I took a few liberties with the shape of this building to accommodate for some of the extra rooms. You'll see this later when we're walking through the building. Let's go ahead and have a look at the interior to see what I've done with it. When you enter, we have this big hallway with, on the right, the fish tank. We've got a few nice sitting areas. We've got a few nice couches over here with some books to read. On both sides, we have some nice books available and some big paintings on the wall. And here in the middle, we have this big fireplace. And then above here is where in Stardew Valley you have 6 stars. And these 6 stars indicate the 6 bundle rooms that you complete in order to fully restore the community center. However, since we don't have stars, I am using these redstone lamps. And when you complete a room, one of those lamps will light up, indicating that you've completed the room. For example, if we were to donate this raw salmon, we throw it in here. We hear a ding and it lights up, so we know that we have completed that one. Then we do the same for the other ones. And once it completes, you'll hear a small tune for completing the bundle, and you'll see this light up for completing the room. Now, since the fish tank is only 1 bundle, and over here in this book you can see the little details for it, you will also be told what the reward is for completing a bundle and what the reward is for completing a room. However, for the fish tank, I currently am not really sure what the reward should be. At the end of this series, I will have rewards for each room and each bundle. So I'll still be thinking about this and maybe changing some of them as well. So if you guys have any good ideas, do drop them in here and I'll take them into consideration. Now, for example, the craft room, if you complete that, it will repair the quarry bridge, aka you can now enter the quarry. If you complete the boiler room, you can unlock the minecarts and you can quickly travel between a few spots. And so all of the rooms will give you a reward that is very nice to have and will probably also unlock some materials that you may not have been able to get before then. Now, as we go to the left here, there is the kitchen, a nice big table as well. And then on the left here, we have a small staircase downward, because to me, all those rooms in the community center felt like they were underground a little bit. And so we have this nice big hallway with, in the middle here, as you can see, another set of bundles. This is the bulletin board. And as you can see here, it contains 5 bundles. What the room unlocks currently, I don't know, because in Stardew Valley, it gives friendship. And I don't really have anything for that at the moment. So that's still something I'm thinking about. What? Oh, we get a little extra flap when we're opening pages here. I didn't really know that was happening, but alright. Don't know why that's happening though. There is no redstone signal there. But I will. Here you see some of the bundles. This one requires you to make a bunch of recipes. Here you get a bunch of items that are a bit more rare to get. Here we have a plant-based bundle, which is the dye bundle. These are all able to be made into dyes. Here we've got some food, the fodder bundle, and then here we have some sort of research bundle, which is one of these is 9 pieces. So most of them will tell you, if you hover over it, what you need to drop in there and how many of that you need to drop in there. Right, for example, here you need 64 wheat. So that's kind of my take on the community center. This will also mean, like I explained earlier in the video, that if we were to take these and try to cheat, throwing this in here will actually not fill the bundle, because that is a named one with a different name, as you can see. Then one of the rooms here is the boiler room. I added this little compass here to indicate a sort of temperature meter, which I really like. We have a shovel in the back here and some coal to load up the heater here. How you're gonna get each and every single item is not really something that I'm going to be explaining right now, but there will definitely be ways to learn where to get items from, like sprinkled around here or there. Some of that is not final and is maybe going to change later on, so when the time is right, I will explain everything in a nice video. Then across from the boiler room we have the vault. This one is a little bit different. We have, of course, here the vault with a lot of gold, but what you're going to be donating here is the gold itself. And in Stardew Valley, it is actually a lot of money that you have to donate, and so I tried to emulate that here as well. You're going to be donating these gold items that are the renamed items, the gold nuggets that I've explained before that you get from selling things. And so we have 4 tiers. We have the tier 1, which is 150, then we have tier 2, which is 300, tier 3 is 500, and then the last one is 1200. And once you've done that, you will unlock the bus to the desert, which I have some really fun plans for once that comes around. All the way on the other side of the hallway, we have the pantry room. This is mostly where you'll be donating food, and as you can see here in the back, a bunch of animal items. I tried labeling them as well, so you have an idea what is going on. I'm not sure if I have labels for everything already, but I will try and do that. And here we have a couple of really special items. We have jelly, we have mayonnaise, and we have cheese. And you're gonna be thinking, none of those items exist in Minecraft. And you'd be correct. However, I am going to provide a way for you as a player to get these renamed items as part of a sort of custom crafting in your farm. That is something that you'll be unlocking as part of the rewards from some of these bundles. Now, the final room here is the crafts room, and as you can see, it's mostly a bunch of foraging items, and I see that I've left something on the wall here. I had a lot of fun making all of these rooms look really interesting and also fun. I especially had some trouble trying to figure out how to make all of these bundles functional, and I really struggled making these bundles fit in the room in a way that feels natural but also functional. And as I mentioned earlier, this is also containing a lot of redstone. And just a small peek at all of that redstone will reveal lots of colored wool, indicating some of the bundle types or sounds that are being made when things are done. And there is going to be lots of these little checks here. Now, I'm not going to go over what's happening here, but essentially it's all just a row of item filters, like over here. And then down below it checks, is there an item in there? If yes, then it completes it. And if all of them are complete, then that completes, for example here, a recycling machine when we complete the field researcher bundle. And then here in the back, I have a row of rewards. For example, you can get a beehive as a reward from something, or 10 dirt. And if we do unlock those rewards, they will be dropped all the way over here. Now that's enough talking, I think. Let's go and do some terraforming. I will explain my process with these cliffs behind me. We'll make sure that this looks nice instead of this very straight wall. The first step is to change the shape of all the rocks just a little bit. Like over here, we have some interesting shapes going on, but mostly I wanted to feel natural, like a bunch of rocks next to one another. And some of them will be a bit higher, others will be a bit lower. So the wall might go forward a little bit in some places, it might go up quite a bit. In other places, we push it back a little bit further just to make some space in between. And there we go, step 1 complete. Now we have a bunch of differently sized rocks. I also added a bit of an extra level here behind the community center. I'll be doing the same treatment over on that side just a little bit later. However, first we're gonna just finish this section off altogether. We're gonna go ahead and go to step 2, and that's adding all of the details. The way that I do my detailing is as follows. I have mossy cobblestone that I would normally put right next to the moss because it has a bit of a blend between the moss and the stone. Then we have the tuff that I usually try and put in the darker corners. And then in between, sometimes I will keep a little amount of stone, so only 1 block every so often. And other times I will use the dried tube coral block, because as you can see over here, it has a bit of that brown tint, but it also just looks like some bigger rocks. And that's kind of how I go around and do all of this. And the second step also complete. We now have some detail on these rocks, but of course the grass is still a little bit lacking, so we're going to be adding a bunch of grass on top. And then of course there is one big thing missing in this area, and that is some trees. And the last step is to add foliage. We're going to be adding some grass, some bushes and some trees. So I'll see you in a little bit when we're done. And have a look at that, I added a bunch of trees and I finished the waterfall. I also added some more detail to the cliffs, and this is now looking very, very nice. I am very happy with these spruce trees, and in the future, especially over here, there's gonna be quite a few more. This area in the future will have the quarry somewhere around this area, and that will probably also be surrounded by a bunch of these spruce trees, because currently, if we're looking around here, this area is a little bit empty. I feel like that also is going to need a few spruce trees at the very least. So that's something that will happen in the future as we're building out further and further. Now, another thing that I realized I completely forgot about is the string in this balloon. Because I found that using some leads with chickens in here, I can easily make it look like a balloon. Alright, I'm inside of the balloon, I brought some eggs, I've got some leads, hopefully we get 4 chickens, and we can go ahead and tie those leads to the balloon. Well, there we go, that's number 1. Can I put a lead on this little guy? There we go. Now we climb down, and then we put the lead on this one. Alright, and there we go. Now it looks like we have 1 rope hanging off the balloon. There's another one. Let's just make the chickens first. There we go, another one. And another one. Alright, this one first. It's number 2. Chicken number 3. And the last chicken. There we go, perfect. Now all I need to do is, oh no, not that just yet. I need to put these things back. Of course the slab as well. Perfect. And now we look at this balloon with the ropes. Look at that, much better. Now I did try a different approach with the ropes coming from the center of the balloon going out wide. You can see it here. However, I'm not sure which one I like more. I think I like the straight one more. It does clip a little bit through here in the middle, but I am not too unhappy about that. I think this looks much more realistic. I think this looks better, as it's going to be held up properly. Now, one area that does need a little bit more detail is this right here. Luckily, the cliff that I was building lines up quite nicely with this cliff that was already there. This, of course, is covering the giant hole, and I think this is a perfect place to merge these two, make them a little bit more detailed, and plant a bunch of trees just like that over on this section, and maybe up there a little bit. And there we go, another cliff. This one I won't detail too much because it will be mostly covered by trees. And with the progress we made today, we completed the town area. Now to talk about what is to come in the next episode. Of course, this path is leading somewhere. In the game, this path leads you all the way to Robin's construction cabin and also to the area where Linus lives in his tent, and eventually also the mine and the Adventurers Guild, and it's very close to the quarry, which is on the east side here. So next up, what I want to do is I want to do a lot of terraforming. Essentially, I'm going to be making the entire area, all of the mountain essentially, with an entrance to the mine and maybe the area for the Adventurers Guild and Robins and stuff all planned out, but no buildings. I just want to get ahead and build a ton of cliffs and get it all terraformed and looking nice, because I want to see that mountain in the back here with the mountain lake. Because this is only the first waterfall. I am planning to do a few steps of the waterfall until we get to the actual mountain lake. Because in the game, this sort of skips a small area in between this point and where Robin lives, and so we're building a path in between it. And there's gonna be a bunch of extra space for the waterfall to also gain some height, and I think it'll look a lot more natural. But that's all to come in the next episode. There is a lot of stuff that I want to build there. And I feel that that would also just give it a lot of character right away instead of building just small patches at a time. I am very much looking forward to it. I hope you guys are too. Let me know what you guys think, and I hope to see you in the next episode.